Hey, Tony Gaskins here. Now listen to me. When you go into these relationships, you got to recognize crazy early. And when I say recognize crazy early, I'm using the term loosely, not in a clinical way. But there are always signs. And whatever signs you see, you got to multiply by 3. When you marry somebody, the signs that they exhibited in dating, they will be in marriage too, but it'll be multiplied because they're more comfortable with you. They know you better. So you have to pay attention. And you got to break it down and look at it like a real human. So if a person is overly controlling, not even overly, if a person is controlling, telling you what you can wear, what you can't wear, who you can talk to, who you can't talk to. In dating, you're gonna feel like a prisoner in marriage. If a person is jealous, if a person triggers you, pushes your buttons, say little stuff to get under your skin, to make you hurt or to make you cry, if a person plays mind games with you, the better they get to know you, the more they're gonna do that to you. And you also got to pay attention to the antecedent behavior, the thing that happens before the major blow up. And so everything, it grows, it escalates. So if somebody is verbally coming at you the wrong way, can't say all the words on YouTube, but you know what I mean. If somebody verbally coming at you, that could and very well may lead to them coming at you physically. And so you can't just look at what they're doing and say, oh, well, they're verbal. It's verbal of you, but not physical. Because one could lead to the other. So you got to be able to recognize and see that and pay attention to that. So when you looking at this, make sure that you are not letting stuff go. You got to have an accountability partner. So when you look and you see, you say, okay, this right here happened. Talk to your best friend or talk to your relationship coach or talk to your therapist and mention that behavior, because it's going to be a little sting. It's going to be a little ting go off, a little alarm go off, especially if, now, it might not if you're used to it. So if you was raised or you've been in a relationship and stuff was just really blown out of control, when little stuff happen, you might not recognize it because you already used to worse. So what you got to look at, when you see this, okay, now you bring this up to somebody you know and love, who know and love you, who isn't jealous of you, who isn't, single and lonely. They could be single, but they don't need, if they single and miserable, that's not who you want to be talking to. If they single and they work on themselves, they loving themselves, they understand this is the season that they're in, you can get advice from that type of person. But not somebody who miserable, not somebody who hate men or who hate women, not somebody like that. And so now you talk through this thing because you can't always see yourself. We need somebody who can stand on the outside and look in. So you talk through it, and when you talking through this, what you're gonna hear is, you're gonna hear, okay, all right. So this could lead to that. And now you think about it, because everything, and what you have to do sometimes is, because we're not always that good at relationships, you got to take this and you look at it in different ways. So think about if you're a school teacher and you got your students. If you if the student's supposed to be working and you look up and you see 2 students talking and you let that go, now the next thing, what that's going to morph into is these 2 students cheating when they taking the test. Then that conversation could go left and they passing notes. Then somebody could say something to somebody, the person could get mad and it turn into a fight. So everything, it just start with a little seed, but then it go from that seed and it blows up, it become bigger. So look at the antecedent behavior. Look at what's happening. See how that's happening, and then say, okay, what can this turn into? If this little behavior that's kind of a little something becomes worse, what can this turn into? What can this become? And when you do that process, now you can get out early. And you have to make sure that you heal before you deal. You gotta make sure that you're doing some healing. You can't come into a situation and don't recognize your own toxicity. Don't recognize your own trauma bonds, and don't recognize your own blind spots. You gotta be able to go get seen, meaning you gotta talk to somebody who can see you, who can see those blind spots, who can speak to those areas, who can tell you the truth so that you know and you realize and you able to be like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I've been this or that. You know, I've been chasing this feeling. I've been falling in love with the idea of love because I want to be in a relationship for Facebook, for Instagram, or because my clock is ticking. And so I've overlooked red flags. I've ignored things. And I've let things slide because I've been operating from a place of low self-esteem or from desperation. And you really got to be real with yourself in order to be able to see somebody else. And so a lot of times we don't see ourselves and we think the whole problem is with somebody else. So now when they are exhibiting whatever, we might be ignoring it or overlooking it, and we might not call it out just because we're so afraid to be alone, or because in order to confront them, you got to see yourself. You got to confront yourself, because oftentimes the person you're with is a reflection of you. They may sin differently. They may suffer differently. They may have different flaws, but the person most often is your reflection. They no different than you in the sense of where y'all are emotionally and mentally and spiritually, and that's why the saying goes, like attracts like. So this is some of the work you got to do. You got to be intentional about it. Keep doing it. Be real with yourself. Call it out. And listen, it's better to overreact, meaning it's better to have somebody try you, like somebody try you in the first month, 2 months, 3 months, and you cut them off. And it's like, whoa, that was, you overreacted. You shouldn't have cut somebody off for yelling at you or for cursing at you or for, you know, telling you not that you can't wear that certain outfit. You shouldn't have did that, but it's better to do that, to let them know none of this gonna be tolerated. None of this gonna fly. Because if you let that slide at 3 months, imagine what it's gonna be like at month 30, at month 90. You gonna be now about chained up in the basement. So understand this. Hey, this Tony Gaskin, just little nuggets. I'm on the road, you know, doing what I do. Somebody wrote in the last comments on the last video, saw me on TV. I'm out here, you know, doing what I do. God bless you. We'll talk soon.